Namaste and welcome all. I am Arunajay, and I am one of the members of Akshayam, which was established in the year 2016. And Akshayam is a team of Hindu young professionals of the Hindu Temple Society of North America, New York. We volunteer at the temple to preserve the Hindu tradition and practices, and we engage in discussions and aim to build legacy for the future generations. So Akshayam organizes these monthly discussions as part of the Unique Learning Series. And this is our 65th session, and we invite today's speaker, Sivachariar ji, the Director of Religious Affairs at the temple. Sivachariar ji, may I request you to render a prayer before we commence the session?
Yeah, Namaste. Om Sadha Shiva Samarambham Sri Kantacharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vandhe Guru Paramparam Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityormukshi Yapamritaat भवाय चन्द्रचूडाय निर्गुणाय गुणात्मने कालकालाय रुद्राय नीलग्रीवाय मङ्गलम् हरिः ओम्. Thank you.
Thank you. Today's topic is the fifth among a multi-part session on various climate-related seasons and the corresponding spiritual, philosophical, cultural, and festival relevance, jnana, or knowledge. It prepares us to lead a successful life cycle and pride moments. We would contemplate it on a Hindu Vedic perspective. Our guest speaker would elaborately reveal the significance on the present climate season. For example, dew time winter season, or Shishira Ritu, that are adapted by Hindu faith system and how the natural elements such as the earth, water, fire, air, space has to be respected, and also to protect all living entities, including animals, birds, plants, and trees. If viewers wish to seek more details on the subject, they may post their questions in the comments section. We hope to gain added knowledge on ways and means of seeking the divine grace for a happy and peaceful living. If anyone misses this live session, they are welcome to view it later at their leisure through the temple's YouTube or Facebook page. Now let us begin the session. Sivacharya-ji, could you explain on how the climate seasons are revealed in our faith system?
Yeah, thank you, Arun, for the good introduction. And see, the climatic season that reminds us on the change in the law of nature and its progress. As per the Hindu almanac and our religious calendar system, a year is divided into 6 seasons of 2 calendar months each. These 6 seasons, they are, it starts from the Vasanta Ritu, which means the spring, Grishma Ritu, which means it is summer, Varsha Ritu, the monsoon, Sharad Ritu, autumn or fall season, Hemanta Ritu, which is a pre-winter, and Shishira Ritu is the actual winter or the dew time. Now, at present, the current season that we are into is known as a Shishira Ritu. And this is spread across 2 months of our calendar, which are in lunar calendar, it is a Mãgha and Phãlguna month. Whereas under the solar calendar system, it's spread across Kumbha and Meena Mas. So that is about the seasons which are explained in our text. Thank you, Arun.
I see. Okay, so having got an idea on Ritu or the seasons, could you let us know what signifies the current Shishira Ritu or dew time winter season?
Yeah. See, for the benefit and welfare of all of us, of all the, not only human being, all the living entities, all our Shastras, whether it is Vedic Shastra, Agama Shastra, and Dharma Shastra, they reveals various recommendations. In fact, Agama Shastra reveals various kriyas to be performed month on month. And similarly, Dharma Shastra recommends observations of festivals and events based on the relevant climate seasons and the occurrences in the natural phenomenon. Of course, whatever I say, these kriyas are over and above our daily routine observances. such as like we used to call it as Nitya Anushtana or Nitya Pujas or Nitya Karmas. Let us contemplate on the name of this current Shishira Ritu. Yajurveda, the Taittiriya Samhita, 5th Kanta, very clearly talk about all the 6 seasons, including the Shishira Ritu. Grishmo, Hemanta, Utano, Vasanta, Sharad, Varishaha, Suvidhanno, Astu, it says. Idhuvatsaraya, Parivatsaraya, Samvatsaraya, Krunutva, Bruhan Namaha, it says. That means what Yajurveda says, with a prayer, may the summer, winter, and spring be favorable to us. May the autumn and rains also be favorable to us. May we enjoy the quiet and also be protected from these seasons, not only the current seasons, through hundreds of such seasons which follows throughout our lifetime. So that is the reference given in the Yajurveda. But this thing you will see, which is revealed, even science also talk about the same thing. Like when I said Grishmo Hemanta Uthano, the phrase or the word Utha also refers to the meaning to express doubt, uncertainty, and guess. Why in Vedic text this phrase is used is because in this current season, the current season which is Shishira Ritu, one could find a lot of uncertainty in terms of the quantum of what is going to happen. For example, it is very difficult to predict the whether snow or rain or wind with respect to the weather condition. And it may lead to even our Ayurveda texts talk about this kind of uncertain situation may even lead to dehydration and dryness and all, is what our Ayurvedic text says. And it also recommends that we need to increase the immunity in our body. Of course, with each season, the certain climate changes takes place. It keeps changing. That is why we have categorized it as a season. And it takes place in the environment, and consequently, our Vedic texts do recommend special rituals. And Ayurvedic texts talk about special food intake. And then Agama Shastra talks about ceremonies and festivals to be adhered by all of us, so that we will be able to maintain harmony between us and with all the living entity and the nature. So if we have to maintain the harmony, we need to be along with the recommendations so that we will be able to come out of any difficulties due to this seasonal impact on us. Thank you, Arun.
Thank you. So, what are the recommendations of our Shastras on observation of festivals or rituals during this Shishira Ritu season?
I only touched upon as to say what there are different festivals. Now, I think you have rightly asked what are the few festivals that we observe or recommended to be observed during this Shishira Ritu season. See, as I told you, the Shishira Ritu comprise of 2 months. It spread across 2 months, namely like Mãgha and Phãlguna or Kumbha and Meena in the solar cycle. So this, I will explain about both the month. First Mãgha and then Phãlguna. The name Mãgha, or it is also referred as Mashi, it is derived from the star constellation Magha Nakshatra, which is seen closer to the moon on the Purnima day of this particular Magha month, under the lunar way of calculating our system. The Magha also mean literature, as per the literature, it says it is generous or bountiful. Whereas the same thing in the first month of the Shishira Ritu in solar calendar is called as Kumbha Masa, because the sun stays in Kumbha Rashi. There the Magha Nakshatra seen closer to the moon. Whereas here in sun solar calendar system, the Kumbha Rashi, the sun stays throughout the month in Kumbha Rashi, or in zodiac sign it is Aquarius. So in Sanskrit literature, Kumbha means a kind of pot, a storage pot or pottery system. Now let us look at since you asked me about what are the festivals and events during this period of time. So in Magha month, Agama Shastra says, Magha Mase Magarkshetu Kuryad Dvai Dhritakam Bhalam. Similarly, the Uttara Karnagama says, it is Atavakshe Visheshena Sarva Jnana Pradhayakam Mase cha Kambhalam Pujya Putra Pautra Abhivriddhinam, it says. So that means the whatever the rituals and things you do during this period, considering the Ritu or the climate season, what kind of benefits we get, accordingly, the events have been organized. Like, for example, what are the events that we observe during this Magha Masa or Mashi Masa is one of the big festival of the year happens in this month, which is called as Shivaratri or Mahashivaratri. The next to that will be the Kumbha Mela, because in Kumbha Masa there is a event called Kumbha Mela, which is also known as Masi Magam. Of course, one of the great saint we observe in this month is called as Madhva Navami. Apart from that, there are some austerities which are adhered by women folk, which is called as Savitri Vrata or Karadayan Nomba. So these are all the important events which are observed during this month. Now, the Kumbha Mela, why it is called as Kumbha Mela or Maha Kumbha Mela, both way. Basically, it is like we are talking about lunar cycle and solar cycle. There is another cycle called as the one circulation of the planet Jupiter or Guru. So the Guru, it takes 12 years to complete one cycle, and it always completes the cycle in the month of Magha, 12 months. So when it completes 12 years, that's why every 12 years there is a Kumbha Mela, which is observed in important places. Of course, this also finds a place in the Vedic text, like in Rig Veda, there is a reference. In all the 4 Vedas, you will find reference about this. So that's about the Magha Masa or Kumbha Masa. Now let us contemplate on the next month of this Shishira Ritu, which is Phālguna Masa. Why it is called as Phālguna? Because of the star constellation, whether Purva Phalguni or Uttara Phalguni. So this Uttara Phalguni is seen very closer to the moon on the Purnima day of this month, which is Phalguna month. That is the reason the month is named after Phalguna. It's called as Phalguna Masa. Whereas in the solar calendar system, the same month is referred as a Meena Masa, because there the calculation is based on the sun staying in the Pisces zodiac sign, which is Meena Rashi. That's why it's called as Meena Masa. So in literature, the Uttara Phalguni or the Phalguni refers to the reddish one. Now, this Uttara Phalguni has got a very great references in various texts. For example, if I have to, it's worth mentioning here about one of the popular verse in Mahabharata, which praises on Arjuna. It says, Uttarabhyam Palgunibhyam Nakshatrabhyam Aham Dhiva Jato Himavata Prushte Tena Mam Palgunam Viduhu. So, whenever you have to refer to a person with his great characteristic quality and things like that, or even great quality about a product or things, or a person who belongs to the Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra or Purva Phalguni Nakshatra, they are referred by this kind of phrases. In this particular Mahabharata verse, Arjuna is praised for his nature and character. So whenever you have to talk about a character of a person, this is what the Uttara Phalguni, he will be of Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra person. So now coming to what are the events and festivals which are observed or rituals observed in Phalguna Masa, like how Shivaratri and Kumbha Mela in Magha. In Phalguna, what happens? The Kamika Agama Uttara Bhaga, Phalguna Masa, Ganta Puja Vidhi narrates, Uttare Phalgune Mase Sarva Gantescha Pujayet Vishesha Snapanopetam, Vishesha Yajananvitham, it says. Similarly, the Uttara Karnagama says, Atavakshe Visheshena Dhatipu Janam Uttamam. Also in Chintyagama, it says Palgune Uttare Rukshe. Uttare means Uttara Palgune. Rukshe means Nakshatra. Kala Pushpani Dhapayet, it says. So it says the rituals involving various materials, considering the climatic impact, the Sisira Ritu. Like, you have to use, because I said, no, the Ayurveda says that one need to have, be careful with respect to dryness and dehydration kind of thing. So for which there are so many recommendations used in food intake, like including species, and then how do we maintain our physic by using various perfumes, sandalwood paste, and also food intake including curd and milk during this time. So all those things are referred in this verse in Agamas. Now coming to the festival during the Palguna Masa, lot of our Puranas refers, most of the festivals are referred by Puranas or Itihasas. So if you take the Mahabharata and Ramayana, which indicates the auspicious day of the Purnima and Uttara Nakshatra or Uttara Palguni, sorry, Palguna, and on the Purnima day in the Palguna month, the Uttara Palguni Nakshatra day coinciding, which is called as Uttara Panguni Uttaram day, is the very is the day in which most divine weddings have taken place. What are the kind of divine wedding? Like for instance, it is said Lord Shiva married goddess Parvati on this day, on the Pangani Uttaram day. Similarly, Lord Subramanya married Devasena in on the same day, in the Uttara Palguni day, in the month of Palguna Masa. Similarly, Lord Rama and Sita wedding also happened in this day. So this day is very much referred as the glory of Grihasthasrama Dharma. So we have several stages in the lifetime. The Grihasthasrama Dharma or a married life of a householder. Hence, there is also individual or advised to observe Kalyana Vrata during this time in the Saiva sects. Now, another important wedding that took place on this day is one between Alvar, which is Andal, and Sri Ranganatha, which is the manifestation of Lord Vishnu. So Lord Vishnu and the goddess Ranganayaki is named in the name of Ranganayaki, who is the manifestation of Sri Mahalakshmi. They said to meet together, and this instance is referred as a Panguni Uttara Serti Utsava. And every temple, Vaishnava temple, will be observing the Serti Utsavam on Panguni Uttaram day because of this. And they chant selected verses from the Sri Ranga Gatyam, it's called as, which was composed by the saint and poet philosopher, none other than Ramanuja, who is a very ardent devotee of Lord Vishnu. And it is a pure expression of bhakti by him, and he has narrated the Kalyana Guna, or it is known as virtuous quality of Lord Sri Ranganatha, which is very important day in this month. Also, Pangani Uttara day, I missed to mention about this other thing. Like Pangani Uttara day is also said to be the Avatara Dina of, or a birth day of Lord Ayyappa. Lord Ayyappa also took birth on Pangani Uttaram day. It is also believed that on this day, Goddess Mahalakshmi incarnated on the earth from the ocean of milk. We call it as a Kshira Samudra, or Samudra Manthan, where during the Devas and Asuras were churning the ocean, she came out, and it is also celebrated as a Mahalakshmi Jayanti on this day, Pangani Uttaram day. So the Brahmanda Purana, it states that on the Pangani Uttaram day, every holy water joins in Tumburu Tirtha, which is one of the 7 sacred tanks in Tirumala, Tirupati town in southern India. So this is one of the reason you will see on the Pangani Uttaram day in our temple, we do Abhishekam to Lord Ayyappa, we do Abhishekam to Subramanya, to Lord Shiva, we do to Venkateswara Utsavamurti and Mahalakshmi. We also do a Serti Utsavam just before the Ardhajama Puja. And apart from this, another important event in the month of Phalguna is Holi festival, which we'll talk about it later. Thank you, Arun, for giving me time.
Of course. So, you mentioned about the observation of Shivaratri, which is very significant in this period and in the world, and we observed it last week. Could
Yes.
you briefly explain or like let us know about the Mahashivaratri for the benefit of our viewers?
Yeah. In fact, just as you rightly said, we just observed Mahashivaratri exactly a week back in the temple on world over. It was observed, and the Shivaratri, like Kumbh Mela and Mahakumbh Mela, similarly, which is once in 12 years. Similarly, Shivaratri is not just once a year event; it is every month event. There will be 12 Shivaratri in a year, but the Shivaratri, which is observed in the month of Magha or Mashi Masa, this is called as Mahashivaratri. Why? Because the night, if you look, I have to give you a small brief, because if you look at I have to explain why the day is very important, the Mahashivaratri day. See, if you look at the night, which is dominated by the moon, and moon has 16 kalas, or otherwise it is 16 fraction of divine glory. And each night, that's why we call it as a waxing and waning, So on each night, during the dark fortnight, which is called as a Krishna Paksha, which is the diminishing factor, every day, one fraction of the light is reduced. We don't see the complete moon every day until the entire moon is annihilated on the full moon, new moon day. So because it's Krishna Paksha, from the whole moon, every day it reduces. Completely, it will be no moon, or we also call it as a new moon night. From then on, from the next day, on each night, again a fraction is added, we see in the moon, until the moon is seen as a full circle, which is called as full moon day in the Sukla Paksha thing. So 15 days Krishna Paksha, 15 days Sukla Paksha. So we don't see the moon completely, every day getting diminished and then now getting increased. So it's waxing and waning like that. So why I have to quote this here to refer is because the moon is the presiding deity of the mind actually, and hence the mind, our mind also doesn't stay stable, like waxing and waning, like we don't see from the Sukla Paksha, Krishna Paksha, our mind also wavering like a sine wave. So that is why in Purusha Suktam it is said, is very popularly, everyone must have heard this, Chandrama manaso jataha chaksho suryo ajayata, it says the manas, the mind of the Purusha, from the Lord Vishnu, the moon emerged. And similarly, from his eyes, Chakshu means eyes, the sun, Suryo Ajayata, the sun emerged like that. So we will not go in detail about this, but what happened is similarly the Kamika Agama Uttarabhaga, which talk about Shivaratri Puja Viti, Atavakshe Visheshena Shivaratri Vritam Dvijaha Shrinvanto Samyata Yuyam Prithanam Uttamottamam, it says. Like how during the dark fortnight of the month, this Agama and other Shastras talk about a sadhana. Sadhana is basically a spiritual striving. It has to be done or observed to eliminate the each day, if like a fraction of mind, gets wavering. So similarly, every day, like in the similar way, how the moon is in a reducing factor and increasing factor. So it is suggested that one need to do a sadhana. Which day is right for doing the sadhana? It is the Chaturdashi day, because it is the 14th day of the waxing period or the Krishna Paksha, where the very next day you don't see the moon at all. It is going to be completely dark. It will be new moon or no moon. So if there is some special effort is made on that night in the month of Magha through an intensive and vigilant sadhana, what kind of sadhana like for example, like puja, japa, or dhyana, you do meditation or repetition of names like japa, or some ritualistic way of worship. All these things are suggested to be conducted throughout the night, so that the success is ensured. So you don't get completely out of your contacts. So now during this meditation, you have to concentrate only on Lord Shiva without diverting our mind towards sleeping and uh, on food and all. That's why people also observe vrata and fasting and all, and they don't sleep. It's called as jagran. So all those things are suggested to be observed on the Magha Masa Chaturdasi day, and it has to be done on that day, even though it happens every month. Masa Sivaratri, Magha Masa Sivaratri is called as Mahashivaratri. That's why people refer it as a Mahashivaratri. On that day, a special spurt of spiritual activity is recommended, so that the you become divine person. So the primary aim of this sadhana is to eliminate the ups and downs of our mind. Okay, so that there is no maya or illusion, and it gets dispersed. Now, according to the tradition also, the planetary position on this night are such that there is a very powerful, which is even science also talk about it. There will be a powerful natural upsurge of energy on this day in our human system. So it is said to be very beneficial if one observe a physical and spiritual for their well-being, to stay awake throughout the night and observe this sadhana. Similarly, there are so many references given in Puranas. I will maybe give one or two reference only before going to the next question. Like Puranas explains about the significance of Mahashivaratri. As per one of the legend, we all heard about, like Mahalakshmi, I said, emerge out of the Milky Ocean, because of Devas and Asuras were churning it. At that time, not only Mahalakshmi, there are so many things emerged out of it. One such thing is called as a poisonous thing came out, which is called as a kalakut, emerged from this ocean. This sudden incident actually terrified both Devas and Asuras, because this poison which emerged is capable of creating Mahapralaya. Pralaya means complete destruction. So, which can destroy even the entire universe. So, to safeguard the entire universe, both Asuras and Devas approached Lord Shiva for help. So, what Shiva did it to ensure the survival of the universe and all living being, Shiva consumed the Kalakut Visha, which is a terrible poison. But when I say he consumed, he didn't consume fully, he just held it on his throat, because of which only he is known as a Neelakanta. Okay, so Shiva is one of the name for Shiva is Shiva. Also, apart from Neelakanta, in Sanskrit they also call it as a Neelagriva. Griva means throat or shoulder portion, and Neela means Visha, the poison. So he held the poison in his throat. So he is called as Neelakanta or Neelagriva. So to commemorate this and remember this, we celebrate another reason to celebrate Mahashivaratri. There's also one more thing. Quickly, I'll tell you before time is out. So there is Shiva is set to perform a Tandava dance on this day, on the Mahashivaratri day, and it is to signify the creation, sustenance, dissolution, concealment, and bestowal of grace, which is called in Sanskrit like a Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Tirobhava, and Anugraha. So still there is one more legend which says Shiva took or revealed him through in the form of a linga. He manifested in the form of a linga, which is called as Lingodbhava. Udbhava means coming out or emerging out as in the form of a linga. That is why at that point of time, it is the third kala in Mahashivaratri day. It's called as Lingodbhava kala. So Shiva appeared in the form of Shivalinga, basically to free all of us from all our sins, and to get to easily reach the moksha stage, so that we don't have a recycle of birth in the future. So like this, there are so many stories, so many legends and Puranas talks about Mahashivratri. So of course, we all observed this a week ago. Thank you, Arun, for this good question.
Of course. It's really nice to hear about the significance of Mahashivaratri. The other popular festival that's scheduled to be observed in this period is called Holi. So, could you also briefly let us know about the Holi festival for the benefit of our viewers as well?
Yeah. So in this Shishira Ritu, I said Mãgha and Phãlguna Masa. Mãgha Masa, we talked about Shivaratri. The next one in the Phãlguna Masa, the biggest festival in Phãlguna is, apart from that Panguni Uttaram, it is the Holi, celebrated widely across the world. Holi is called in different names, Holi or Rangwali Holi or Holi Dahan or Dhuli, like that. I will explain you briefly what is all this thing and reason behind celebrating Holi. So this Holi is widely celebrated as an annual event, as a festival of colors also. Not only like Holi, Rangwali, Holi and all, it's also a festival of colors. Why colors also? I'll give some reference from the Vedic text. And basically the celebration of Holi, you will find the root from Bhagavata Purana. So the day or the holy day is signifies similar to Diwali. Here also it signifies the triumph of good over evil, dark over, light over darkness in the same way. Because why it is good over evil? Lord Vishnu is set to appear in the form of Narasimha, one of the avatar or one of the manifestation of 10 manifestation of Lord Vishnu is Narasimha. So he win over Hiranyakashipu to answer a prayer of his ardent devotee known as Prahlada. So this time period also coincide with the arrival of spring. So one is the Narasimha Avatara took place on this day, and this season ends, and the next season is spring season will be coming up. So there is an end of winter. Why this is another reason for celebration the Holi, so that the new harvest season begins. So they are completing the season and harvest season is going to start. And another thing is, the next month will be after this Phalguna, it will be the new year. So this day, it happened to be the last full moon day of this solar calendar month. And next month it will be Chaitra Masa. So the last Purnima and last season, so that the next harvest season begins. So like this, there are various reasons surrounding this holy celebration. How the Holi begins is that the one day before the Holi, the event begins, and it cross over 5 days. So it is a 5-day long event. So previous night, what people do is they'll light a bonfire. It is similar to what is happening in the Holika Dahan. What I said, the manifestation of Narasimha to safeguard his devotee Prahlata, there was an event mentioned in that Bhagavata Purana. So to recall that story, so there is a Holika Dahan is raised, which is called as Choti Holi. The previous night of the Holi, there is a Holika Dagan. So where people will light a bonfire and they'll sing and dance around the fire. And in the Sanskrit literature, the Holi also refers to after the fire is lit the previous day, the following day they celebrate the Holi. So in Sanskrit literature, they refer this Holi as a Dhuli or Dhulanti, which mean to create a fog or create a mist or a cloud of dust. How do they create this a fog or mist or cloud? By spraying or by smearing or sprinkling of natural organic color powders. Using these color powders, they will create the fog or mist or cloud of dust. That is why the Holi is a festival of colors. So once the color festival is over, they will take bath and then share, make sweets, dahi vada, fruit juices, dessert, whatever it was prescribed, in the beginning by Ayurveda. So all those food intakes are made in this. I said, the curd and milk products, so dahi vada is made. Similarly, the aromatic flavors are being recommended to use. So they make sweets and they make desserts. So all are quick cooked in every home, and then they share it with the community. On the 5th day of the Purnima, they will end this by observing by ending event will be called as a Ranga Panchami. Panchami means 5th day. So Holi is spread across Friday. This is one form of celebration by the people who worship Lord Vishnu, the Vaishnava principle. Whereas you take the Shaiva principle, the Shaiva tradition, a similar event is also observed on this day. Like there it is Holika Dahan, here it is called as Kama Dahan. So what happens is Lord Shiva is said to have burned Kamadeva to ashes through his third eye. Okay, and then Lord Shiva, actually, which day it happened is it happened actually on the Vasanta Panchami day, and then the spouse of Kamadeva, who is none other than Rati, you must have heard, no, Rati and Kama. The Rati did a meditation on Shiva to safeguard his husband Kamadeva. So she did a fasting for 40 days. The 40th day is the day of Holi. And that day, Lord Shiva was very pleased. He forgives Rati and also Kama, and out of compassion, he do it, and then he restores the life of Kamadeva, which happened on the holy day. So on that holy day, similar to their Holika Dahan, here Kama Dahan is remembered. Okay, so like that, there is other tradition also, like Vaishnava tradition, Shaiva tradition. Let us look at Sikh people. They also celebrate Holi, but they call it as Hola. And what they do on this Holi celebration, Sikh people, they celebrate it like a festival of martial arts. That is why most of the Sikh people, they are good in martial arts. They practice martial arts, and this is a day to celebrate that. It's a festival of martial arts on the holy day. And they celebrate for 3 days. Like Vaishnava people celebrate Holi for 5 days, Sikh people celebrate Hola for 3 days. And they also play a mock battles, military exercises. So that is why you will see every Sikh people will carry a small arms with them, a small knife with them, because that is a sign of their martial arts. Not only that, there are also, similarly Jains and Nepalis, they also celebrate the Holi festival. So like this, Holi festival is another great festival, like Mahashivratri in Mãgha, and in Phãlguna Masa, Holi is the great festival. So that's about the Holi festival, and thank you, Arun.
Thank you very much, Sivachariar ji.
Yeah,
So
I think,
now we're going to transition
I
to
think there are a
audience
lot of
questions.
questions from audience. Can we start the audience question now, because its time is also now coming up?
Yeah, you're right. So I do see one audience question over here that I'm going to ask you. So is the Ritu or season a lunar or a solar event?
Okay, see, I think if I understand the question rightly, they want to know, because the season, when I said the Ritu or a season, it's spread across 2 months. Okay, but in our Hindu almanac and calendar system, we follow different, the year begins for us differently. Okay, we follow solar calendar system, we follow lunar calendar system, we also follow lunisolar calendar system, and even under the lunar calendar system, we have 2 way of working. One is the Amanta calendar, which is the month ends with Amavasya. The another calendar is called as the Purnimanta calendar. That means the month end with Purnimanta. Okay, so that is one. That means, if, of course, irrespective of that, always the month begin with Chaitra, whichever tradition it is. In solar calendar, it is Mesha, Rishabha, Mithuna, like this. Start with Mesha Masa, end with Meena Masa. In lunar calendar, whether it is Amanta or Purnimanta, it always starts with Chaitra Masa, end with Phālguna. But there are other calendar system which we do not fully use in the current period, but we observe certain events which are referred in those calendar. Like we say Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela is not based on our lunar or solar calendar. It is purely based on the Guru or the Jupiter, the planet Jupiter, completing one cycle, and every year it takes somewhere near 360 days against 365 days in other calendar. So this Kumbh Mela happens when the Jupiter completes one cycle of 12 year. Okay, so but invariably that narrows down in the Magha Masa Purnima day, most likely. Okay, which is not connected. In the similar way, the Ritu or the season, it never actually falls exactly on the first day of every month. Okay, there will be that is why if you look in the I've shown you in the first picture, you will see the month is not exactly on the first day of Chaitra like that. But still, for the convenient purpose, we always begin the Ritu on the first day of the calendar month. Now, for example, if I take, let us take last year, how we observed this. Because we started the Ritu explanation from last year, in 2023, under lunar calendar, the Chaitra Masa begin on 22nd of March. But for the convenient, what we do, the Vasanta Ritu starts on March 22nd, which is the first day of Chaitra Masa. Whereas in the solar calendar, the year begins on 14th of April. So that means for those who follow the solar cycle, the Ritu, Vasanta Ritu, starts only on 14th April. Okay, so there is a lot of difference between calendar to calendar system. Even though this Ritu starts exactly on one particular day, but for the convenient, each calendar system consider for the convenient purpose on the first day of Chaitra, the Vasanta Ritu starts. So that is why what happened on 22nd March in 2023, when the year started, the Vasanta Ritu started. So when the Vasanta Ritu started in lunar calendar, obviously the Vasanta Navaratri starts. Vasanta Navaratri starts on the very first day of Chaitra Masa. Whereas under the solar calendar, it should start only in first of Chaitra, first of Mesha Masa, which is on 14th April. So what happen is when in one system it is Vasanta Ritu, the other one it is not. It is still Shishira Ritu, which is the last season of the year. Now, no, this Màgha and Phālguna is Shishira Ritu. So some people may think, what is that? When it is Shishira Ritu, why are they observing Vasanta Ritu, Vasanta Navaratri? Because Vasanta Navaratri is a festival observed under lunar calendar system. You should not mix this with the between lunar and solar. Those events and festivals which are recommended to be observed based on lunar, you have to follow only the lunar. Similarly, whatever is recommended based on the solar, you should observe only based on the solar cycle. That is why people get confused. I think if they understand the calendar system properly, there won't be any confusion on observing the festivals and events. Okay. I think relevant to that, there is one more question also similar to this, which they say, what is the correct time to observe Savitri Vrata, which is nothing but like Savitri, Satyavan Savitri Vrata or the Karadayan Nomba. So this Vrata is purely a solar calendar event, which has to be observed on the last day or the last moment of which month? Kumbha Masa, which is Màgha in lunar. So the last day of Kumbha Masa, and in the next minute it will switch over to like for us in English calendar, the day changes always in the clock system in the 12 midnight. Is it not? And the 12 midnight, up to 11:59, it is the previous day. At 12, the next day begins. Whereas in the solar calendar, the time is very, very essential. That at the time at which the sun moves from one zodiac to another zodiac, it moves from Kumbha to Meena. That is the exact time have to be looked at. We should not look at any other thing. We should not look at, oh, it is a midnight for me or mid noon for me or early morning. It happens like if I have to give a quick example, you take the Chinese calendar. In Chinese calendar, any event is observed instantly across the globe same time. Whichever part you live in the world, for example, in Beijing, the celebration is happening means at the same instant, same time, world over, they observe the festival. So for them, there's no confusion. Whereas we look at for us in Hindu calendar system, when the sun rises, the day begins. So we say the day always begins only when the sun rising time. So we combine all this thing and then derive our time or day or the event. And that's why we have another working called as Muhurta time. We always say, no, what is the Muhurtam time? Which spans across 90 minutes or 1.5 hours from 7:30 to 9, 6 to 7:30, like that. No, we used to have a Muhurta time. So Muhurta time is very clearly defined by the almanac. The moment of occurrence is also very clearly, so that is why we even observing the climate, everything, we observe the universe. We find which planet is moving at what time and what thing. Everything, all our events, Hindus event and festivals, all are observed exactly looking at the universal situation, the planet movements, planet positions and all. So once people are very clearly understands the event and the relevance and significance and timing of that, then there won't be any confusion whether it is Sisira Rutu or Vasanta Rutu. In fact, this year also in 2024, current year, the Chandramana year begins on April 9, Sauramana begins on April 13. So that means for those who, for the Chandramana, the Vasanta Rutu will commence on 9th itself. Whereas in the solar calendar, it commences only on 13. So in between, it is still considered as Shishira Ritu in solar. But there's no need to confuse because we need to see Vasanta Ritu is basically a lunar event. So we should not get confused before this. I think that's all to say about this question. I think everything is clarified to the viewer. Thank you, Arun. I think if there is any more question, let us also see if there is any question. I think there is no questions, even though there are a lot of things, but I think there is no question relevant to this topic. Okay, there is a lot of praise about this and things like that. Okay, thank you, Arun. I think
Yes.
it's good.
Thank you very much, Sivachariar ji. And I want to thank also our participants and viewers. I just want to remind everyone there are some upcoming events at the temple. So the temple invites everyone to a virtual session on health and wellness to be held on Sunday, March 17th at 1 p.m. So please join us to discuss on diagnosis and current treatment options for pancreatic cancer. And this will be administered by Dr. Sandeep Anandana. This person is a director of the surgical oncology at Northwell Long Island Jewish Forest Hills and associate professor at the Department of Surgery, Zucker School of Medicine. We also have the Holy Festival and Pangani Uttaram, which will be observed on Sunday, March 24th. Our annual Composers Day is scheduled on Sunday, March 24th of 2024 from 10 a.m. onwards at Saraswati Hall. Finally, on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024, we will be marking the beginning of a lunar year, or also known as Chandramana Yugadi, and also the Sri Rama Navami Utsava, which we will be chanting. So we're going to have the chanting of the great epic Sri Valmiki Ramayana every day till Sri Rama Navami Day on Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. Thank you again, everyone, for participating and viewing this session. We will see you again in the next learning session.
Thank you. Thank you and namaste.